Section 7.4, applying properties of similar triangles. Objectives, you can pause to read, but I'm moving on to the vocabulary, and there is none. Next slide. Theorem 7.4.1 is called triangle proportionality theorem. Follow along. It says if a line parallel to a side of a triangle intersects the other two sides, then it divides those sides proportionally. And let me highlight this. And again, they're talking about this line parallel to this other side of the triangle. So then you have AE over EB is equal to AF over FC. Let's apply that. Number one says find US. So this is US. So I apply the theorem that you saw on the previous slide. So then I have US over RU is equal to VT over RV. And then I substitute. Before I cross multiply, I notice that I can simplify this and I get 2/5. Now I cross multiply, divide both sides by 5, and I get 5.6. That's the answer to number 1. Let's move on to number 2. It says find PN. So they're talking about this. I use the theorem that you saw at the beginning. I have LP over PN, is equal to MQ over QN. Then what I do is I substitute the information that I know, and then at this point, just to make my life a little bit easier, I just get the reciprocal of both the ratios, and that leaves me with PN on top. So if I want to solve for PN, all I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both sides by 3, and I simplify 5 times 3, which is 15, divided by 2, which is 7.5. And this is the answer to number 2. Now, this is the, the converse of theorem 7.4.1. So by now you should have pretty good grasp of what converse really means. Let me read it to you. It says if a line divides two sides of a triangle proportionally, then it is parallel to the third side. So if this happens, then this line is parallel to the side of the triangle here. Okay, the converse of 7.4.1. Let's apply this. It says verify that DE is parallel to BC. So I look at these, the ratio of these sides, AD and over DB, give me 2/3 once I simplify. In the same manner, I look at AE and EC, and when I look at the ratio, once I simplify it gives me 2/3. So I notice that they are the same. So then I know that since they're equal, I know that DE is parallel to BC by the converse of triangle proportionality theorem. Next one. Says AC is equal to 36 centimeters, BC is 27 centimeters, and verify that DE is parallel to AB. DE is parallel to AB. You're also given this other piece of information, DC and EC, in the picture. So now I can say that I can write the following ratio DC over AD. Once I simplify this fraction, I get 5/4. In the same manner, I go to this side. EC over BE reduces to 5/4. So now, since they are equal, I can say that DE is parallel to AB by the converse of the triangle proportionality theorem. Next slide. This is corollary 7.4.3. The name of it is 2 transversal proportionality. Follow along. It says if 3 or more parallel lines intersect two transversals. So here are your three parallel lines. 1, 2, 3. These are your transversals. Then this happens. They divide the transversals proportionally. So AC over CE is going to be equal to BD over DF. Let's move on to the next slide. This is another theorem, triangle angle bisector theorem. Excuse me. So this is what it reads. This is what it says. An angle bisector. So here's your angle bisector. It divides this angle into congruent angles. An angle bisector of a triangle divides the opposite side into two segments. So these are the opposite sides. They have two segments whose lengths are proportional to the lengths of the other two sides. So this is what it says. BD over DC is going to be equal to BA or AB over AC. Okay, let's move on to the next slide and let's apply this. It says find PS and SR. So I apply, what is it? I have an angle bisector here. So I applied theorem 744, the triangle angle bisector theorem. And this is what I can write. PS over SR is equal to QP over QR. I go over here and then I substitute. At this point, before I cross multiply, there's a common factor, and once I divide, I get 4/5. Common factor is 8. Cross multiply, and then I actually distribute next. Solve for x, and I get x equals 30. Am I done? No, I need to find PS and SR. So I go back and substitute x. PS is 28. SR is 35. Let's move on to the next slide. Here's number 6. It says find AC and find AC and DC. I'm going to use that same theorem, theorem 744. So I can say that BD over DC should be equal AB over AC. I substitute the given information. I cross multiply. When I multiply y over 2 times 8, you should be able to see that I get 4y. When I multiply 4.5 times this binomial, I get the following. And then at this point, all I need to do is solve for y. I take away 4.5y from both sides, and I end up with negative 0.5y equals negative 9. And then at this point, divide by negative 0.5 on both sides, and I get y is equal to 18. Am I done? No, I have to go back and find AC and DC. You should see how I get these two numbers. This concludes the video.